The story was developed originally because I very much wanted to play a woman who was strong and independent and could face adversity head on, take control of a situation. And I was personally looking for a script with this kind of a character. And I found one. We looked at the ideas and we worked back and forth with notes because I really knew that I wanted to play this kind of woman. I liked the idea of having a mom that rescues her daughter.
Right.
So since we couldn't quite get the story to work that I had found originally, he said, hey, I have no ownership to a mom, a strong woman saving her daughter. You said to me, I can write you a story. I can write something for you. And I said, okay, write it.
We started along the lines of developing a story based on that same premise of a mother rescuing her daughter, which, you know, anyone, regardless of whether they're, you know, man, woman, or child, can appreciate a mom wanting to rescue her daughter. It's just a matter of setting it in a new context.
What about G.I. Jane meets Taken?
So what we wanted is go a little deeper and see, with regards to this premise, where can we set the story? Well, the organ trafficking is a very timely subject matter. It just doesn't seem to ever go away. Set along the border, which is another context that doesn't seem to go away. It always seems to come up. So presented us with a scenario to make a much more rich, much more complex story that this mom and daughter can live in.
Giving her the history of a woman who was a military contractor. And because of what she went through as the contractor, extracting information from the bad guys. She developed PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and because of that, was not emotionally close to her family.
And that's sort of the basis for the complex character that we tried to develop. And so that, to us, we felt like, okay, we have the premise, the mom rescuing a daughter, we have a context, and then we came up with this deep character who has these wants and needs, has these hopes and fears, and, you know, whose actions and what she says, you know, we can just juxtapose against each other to make it a very complex character within a short film. For me, it's always a matter of character, and in going back and forth with a creative producer and even the actors. Once we shoot the movie, that character continues to evolve. It never ends, and even in the editing process, you're also evolving a character. And I'll take it even one step further. When the audience sees it, they might interpret the character a little differently. So the character is always evolving, and as long as you start from a strong basis in character development, really strong possibility of having something that people can really enjoy watching on screen.
When you work, I'm just thinking camera-wise, so work great, blah, 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 talk. You know, so we don't look at her. You know, you're like, suffering is inevitable, and we have these shots on him, on the girl, her looking at mom, and he's like, and because that's when you change the scene. Like, it's like, suffering, talk. Make sense?
Yeah, we'll try. It's good enough.
Pain is inevitable aquí. Pero suffering is optional here. Talk.
The script is like your baby. It's yours, and you're making the adjustments that I was so adamantly asking for.
Well, that's a challenge of writing a screenplay. As many screenwriters think that they want to do something in complete solitude with regards to writing a screenplay. Eventually, this piece of document, which you throw everything at, your intellect, your emotion, you know, where you are in your particular point in time where you're living, is going to be imposed upon by other collaboratives.
Yeah, we worked with William Morrison Dover. We worked with a gentleman by the name of Adam Novak. He works in the story department. We received some notes, and we did our rewrites accordingly. It was a really good experience.
My process is basically write an outline, you know, maybe evolve that outline into some sort of narrative in prose. Typically in a feature film that would be like a treatment or a synopsis. But then after that, assuming it's a very well-developed outline or synopsis or treatment, then hopefully you get to a point where it just comes out. You you know, and you already know these characters, you already know the scenarios, you know, to a certain degree, you know, whether you make it explicit to yourself on paper or otherwise, their backstory, you feel like you know them. So by the time the script comes out of you, it's like, oh, okay, wow, this is looking pretty good. And of course, you have the rewriting process, and usually a creative producer comes into play. Actors might come into play, and they provide notes along those lines, and then you just go back and forth.
There were even points where it's not necessarily written, but it's what the actor does.
Right.
So one time when Renee reaches out to touch Ronnie's face, like to just kind of like taunt her a little bit.
Right.
It's like, don't touch me,
Right.
kind of thing. And Manolo did the same thing. I don't think as actors they were watching each other do that particular move,
Right.
but both of them did something very taunting, which brought out a specific reaction
Right.
in me. And even feeling the heat pressing in, feeling the sun beating down, looking for my daughter
Yeah.
in the Mercado.
Yeah.
It was sometimes the elements that are there
Right.
bring that character out.
The actors wound up getting it. They're like, oh, I got it. And hopefully it becomes just a matter of sitting back and just watching a fireworks, you know, explode in front of your eyes, in front of the camera. Whether it be actors, producers, you know, even the cinematographer, yeah, it just evolves. And no matter how much you want to say it's your own, it belongs, eventually it belongs to the entire world.